What's up, guys, and welcome back. We had a I guess we'll call it an off week for lectures last week, but hopefully you're getting all of your stuff done. Again, this is not a course that requires these lectures that are coming through that I love to be able to talk to you on, love to be able to respond to y'all's questions. But last week it was a mess, and I didn't get to talk to y'all in this capacity. But make sure that you are continuing to stay up on everything that you see on your checklist and whatnot. We do have a different background. I moved around the old home office. So hopefully it's not too distracting to you. But what we're going to do this week is I want to answer questions. And I want to address Chapter 5, and I want to address Chapter 6, and I also want to look at what we have for this week. I think last week was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The majority of y'all did go ahead and get on without an issue and take care of stuff. I know I talked to a lot of y'all as far as questions that y'all had and whatnot. So hopefully everybody's on the right track. Again, this course, it's an introductory course. This is not something that I need you stressing about, but big picture is you've got to have your 16 hours done by December. We're in October. Make sure that you stay focused on getting those 16 hours and the reflections done. Use those reflections as a guide. I want to see what videos you watched. I want to see how much time you spent, and then I want to see response to videos. Okay, I'm lenient on it. This is the first time that we're doing this type of thing, but I do need to see it. If you're seeing a lecture for the first time and you have nothing going on, you desperately need to get on board. If not, I'm going to tell you, there's a few of us that are not going to pass this very easy course, and we're gonna have some failures. So hopefully that's not you. If you're staying on top of everything, if you're most importantly engaging in the discussions, that shows me that you're active in the course, and that shows me that you're putting forth effort, and that shows me that you're actually doing this because you want to do it. So with that in mind, I don't want to. I swear that I will always honor y'all's time. So let me go ahead, and this is where my eyes go crazy because I'm looking all over the screen while I'm on camera with y'all. But I like to do this live because canned responses are responses that are thought out and planned to please the person that you are responding to. And I don't dig that. I want it to be completely open, and I want it to be honest from my experience and my thoughts for you being a new teacher. And my little boy is over here. Come on, buddy. Go to mama. Go. Okay. So again, apologize. But I do want to do this. I love doing this, I guess live-ish. So let's see. Takeaway stood out. No question on that one? Okay, that's cool. All right, so one question that I have, this is from Christine. I'm going to call you out, so maybe you listen whenever I respond. Is there anything you wish you would have known first-year teacher? Everything. I wish I would have known curriculum. Probably the most impactful thing is starting in a very small district. I didn't have any direction on curriculum, and I wish I did, because I literally went textbook, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and in reality that was not what I was supposed to be teaching. So curriculum, yes, don't let curriculum overwhelm you, because it's not worth being overwhelmed with. If you know your content and you have the ability to follow what the TEKs say, then you'll be good to go. But yeah, curriculum, if that was something I really wish I would have known. But an assessment may take the adequate knowledge that students have been taught. Was the most effective curriculum objective to ensure that students are taught more than what is required on a list? That comes with practice. That comes with experience. I know exactly what I need to teach, but what I do is I know where I have the ability to expand to actually make learning fun. You want to create lifelong learners. You want to create learners that have the desire to just like feed my brain, and if I have that ability, I can do that as an experienced educator through the idea of expanding on point one, expanding on point two, expanding on point three, and then synthesizing that information to each other. So hopefully that answers that question. All right. God, that's a long question. Jeez. You mentioned as a teacher you should want kids to want to impress you. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are ways students have impressed you? Anytime a kid comes up and brags about something they do in their personal life or in another classroom outside of yours, they're impressing me, because that means that you have made an impact on their life, and that means that they are striving to impress you. They want to tell you stories. They want to tell you things. Even if they embellish a little bit, they still want you as an important factor in their life to be able to be impressed. Have you addressed a team member expressively negative, or do you just let them vent? Team members venting, I turn a blind ear to it. I don't listen to it. I could be in the same room, but I shut off without paying attention, because I'm not going to have my day, my week, my semester ruined by somebody who probably should be in a different profession. So if I see a student falling asleep in class, what do I usually do? I got to be honest with you. I don't do anything. I will let them, unless it's during a test, I'll go give them a nudge, but I don't do anything because I don't know their home situation. I don't know if they spent all night long taking care of siblings or a parent or a grandparent, or they didn't know where their parents were and they were up all night. I deal with those students individually, and I make sure that they have what they need on a very basic level until I figure out a little bit more about them. But honestly, I have a few right now. They haven't been to school in 6 months, but I just let them ride. And I make sure that towards the end of class, as we're kind of finishing up, I make sure that they have everything that they need for that day. And so far, my current group is pretty thorough. But yeah, falling asleep, I guess whenever I was younger in the profession, it would kind of irritate me, but it really doesn't now. Another part of that question is, I've noticed cell phones are more embraced in school environments than when I was in school. Is that good or bad from my experience? I hate it. I'm going to be honest with you. I despise it. But to be real, I teach this in my 1300 class. We're connected to these, whether we like it as an educator or not. We are 100% attached to them. I can give you a dissertation on how I believe that technology will be the downfall of society, but that's a completely different story. Before I was an instructional coach, I hated cell phones. When I was an instructional coach for 4 years, I hated cell phones. Now that I'm back in the classroom, a little bit more relaxed overall, I have an agreement with my kids, and I say, hey, you know what? We're going to use them during instruction, but if I'm not using them during instruction, they're up and out of sight. And there's a trust factor with my students, and there's a rapport built with my students that they're like, yeah, cool, all right, Mr. Hartman, he said put them away, let's get to work. Because I know if I bust my butt and I do work, then I'll be back on my phone. Can you do your own thing when teaching or follow the curriculum, or do you really have to follow it word for word? It depends on what you teach. So, Brooke, it completely depends on what you teach. And in Sci-Fair, math is very canned. That means they feed down from the district what they want you to know, or they want you to teach. I personally, I'm a little bit rogue. I don't mess with what comes down the pipeline. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I prefer to teach based on feel. I prefer to lead based on feel. I prefer to motivate based on feel. And I know the curriculum. As a first year, second year, even third year teacher, you may not be as accustomed to the curriculum to know how you can navigate it. So I don't follow it. That's terrible. How do you really come into a teaching job after graduating college? Do schools really encourage hiring first-year teachers? Yeah, absolutely. So the big picture is in teaching, it's not about experience. I talked about burnout rate 2 weeks ago now. And I have mentioned it before. Burnout rate allows for this job to be always necessary, and it allows for this job to always be open for those that are willing to do what's right for kids. And if you express the ability without being like over the top cheesy, I'll do anything for kids, that type of thing, you will never be without a job. You may have to start out in a smaller district. I did, not by choice, not by force, but by choice. I chose to start out in a smaller district because it was a semi-hometown on my dad's side of the family. I knew a bunch of people, and it kind of worked out. One thing you do have to know about the education game is it is truly who you know. So whenever you're doing student teaching, later on down the road, make sure that you do make connections, and networking is huge in education. And if you ever want to move up, it may be the detriment to you, because if you're not doing if you're not playing the, what's that thing called? Suck up game? It's tough. But no, don't worry about being a first year teacher. You will have the ability, I don't care if you're 22 or 65. The jobs are there. You have to network, and you have to be willing to stretch yourself. You can't say, well, I'm only going to go to this school and this school, and if they're not hiring, well, I'm not going to be a teacher. Suck it up, buttercup. You want to get in the game. You want to make an actual difference in people's lives, young people's lives that are going to remember you for the rest of their lives. That's where it actually matters, and that's hopefully why you're actually doing this. All right. Let's see. How do you balance your relationship with other teachers if they keep griping with you every day? I smile, I nod, I move on, because I don't play that game. I'm in this for a reason. It is truly a calling for me, because I want to motivate. I want to instill intrinsic driven ideas to where students of, whether it be y'all or 8th graders, or when I taught 6th graders, I really want it to be something where you grab a hold of your own learning. So I love my negative teacher partners, but as far as day to day, we are truly fans, friends. We're truly friends on the surface. I don't surround myself with negative people. If I surround myself with negative people just like you, you're going to be a negative person. If I surround myself with unsuccessful people, you're going to be an unsuccessful person. If I surround myself with, I'm a family man, with non-family type of people, that's what you become over time. It's human nature. And that's what your students become too. If you're that person for them, they're going to become the same thing, and they're not going to remember you later on down the road. They're going to remember you, that's that cool teacher, man. We got to do whatever we wanted, type of thing. And you can be that cool teacher and actually instill drive and motivation at the same time. I love these questions. Since you have to prepare students for the state test, does that hold you back from teaching absolutely everything you like on a certain topic? It does not hold me back, because one thing my father told me, actually my father is a pastor, a Lutheran pastor, and I remember early on in his second career of doing this, he told the congregation, he said, God, this may have been 15 years ago, I don't really recall, but he goes, one thing that we have is time. Okay, one thing that we have is time, and yeah, we're shortened within time in the school day, but one thing that we have is time. It's a matter of how we utilize the time to determine our success. Okay, so if I know I have to hit these things, but I know I really want to talk about these things over here, I make time to actually do so. My other teachers on my team may not do it. They simply may find a different direction, and that's fine. That's what makes you have ownership of your position. I do not want to overwhelm my students prior to a quiz, test, or any time. How can I solve this? Don't worry about it. Okay, so there's a lot of anxiety. Kristen, there's a lot of anxiety that students face, and it's so much pressure from outside. It's not them necessarily. It's parents saying you must make A's. It's teachers. It's counselors. It's friends. It's just the pure fear of failure. You really have to. It happens in preparation. Your job is to make sure that they aren't nervous about taking a test, and you do that the week, the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks before it occurs. So being able to solve it, in essence, as you say, is literally through preparation and through understanding that you are there for their best interest and that they can trust you as you're taking them through the learning process. Next question, can a teacher use creative ways to teach a concept to students? You can do whatever the heck you want. For example, making up songs for students to learn new vocabulary words. Absolutely, Annette, that is key. That is actually what they call QL, quantum learning now, which I could go on a rant about this, but it's truly good teaching practices that somebody put a tag on and then made millions of dollars on. It's good teaching practices. If you are laid back in the process of delivering curriculum, delivering new learning, then that stuff comes naturally. You don't have to be a showman. But yes, think outside the box. That's a lot of fun. I like doing that type of stuff. What are some of the best ways teachers use to prepare students for state testing? Let them know it's coming. Let them know that you have to prepare them for it. That comes with what your clientele is. That's a hard question, Heidi. That's a very hard question. But be open and honest. You need to know this on the test, but you also need to be able to connect these multiple things so that you can understand that. I would never truly worry about the test, even though I mention it a lot. How would college and other education systems be if schools all around the world graded and did the same curriculum? They would suck. They'd be terrible. Destiny, they'd be terrible. I have, we don't have Common Core here in Texas, thank God, because 1 + 1 is 1. I don't have to tell you how many pancakes it takes to put a new roof on a house left of the eastern pillar of society, or whatever the mess it is, right? I think it would be terrible. Unfortunately, education is very politicized, and you are a public figure, and so you have to understand that, and you have to own it, and you have to become your own entity within it. How do you make sure students are actually retaining the information they are learning? Question, 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 and more question. Talk to them. Ask them questions. Ask them extension questions. Ask them to predict. Ask them to go through the who, what, where, when, why. Very simple text. Guys, this isn't hard. It's just not for everybody. And hopefully it is for y'all, because I truly believe, just seeing y'all's responses, y'all's questions, y'all's desire to dig a little bit deeper, it's absolutely, it's fun. I wish we were face-to-face, because it would be so much better. Hopefully next semester, tell your friends, take Mr. Hartman. He's legit. All right, so that is all the questions from that week. We will have, obviously, another discussion up from this week. We did skip week 6, but what I want to touch on really fast is looking at chapter 5, the service and the arts of the science, art, and service of teaching. Again, this is not a pedagogy class, so this is kind of a big introduction. One of the things that stood out to me in looking at this chapter is that you really need to promote critical thinking. I don't want to give you the answer. I truly want you, and I don't care what level it is, if it's kindergarten, pre-K, all the way up to seniors. I want to give you the opportunity to process thought. So once I teach you to become a learner, you become a learner for life. If I sit there and go, wait time's the most awkward thing in the world, but I'm like, I don't know, what is in this bottle? And they're sitting there going, I'm not sure. I don't know what's in that bottle. And you're like, well, it's chemical makeup is hydrogen and oxygen. I don't know what could be in that bottle. It's water, guys. And like, water. Water. You didn't teach them anything, right? But if you allow them to critically think and you allow them to really look at how they connect things to their real life, it's highly impactful. So critical thinking is one of my largest takeaways from chapter 5, which is 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. And then Bloom's taxonomy came up. Know it, love it. That's all I can tell you. They have changed it over. I use synthesis a lot because that's how we connect memories. That's how we connect ideas. That's how we connect thoughts. You synthesize them together. Now they call it creation. It's a creation of thought. I guess they really needed to revise something that's 50 years, 70 years old. It's terribly old. But one thing about it is critical thinking. You get over the knowledge, the remembering, the comprehension, the understanding. You go directly to application, analysis, break it down, evaluation. What am I looking at and how am I making connections? And then that synthesizing and the creation. Know and love Bloom's. Okay? Know and love the verbiage of Bloom's. Google search Bloom's verbs, and then you're good on this. It goes into talking backwards design. It talks about levels of planning. I don't really want to talk about all that stuff because that really happens on a campus level, and it's not something that I can tell you this is exactly how it works. Because I've been on teams that had zero planning. I've been on teams that we are uber planning, and it varies. DI is mentioned, differentiated instruction. It's mentioned in here, and I made a note on this. If you reach every student at the level that the student needs to be reached, that's just good teaching practice. Good teaching practices. In fact, the DI pillars. There's 5 pillars to DI that came about. Maybe I want to say 7, 8, maybe a little bit longer years ago. Again, it's somebody that took good teaching practices, gave them a title, and then made millions of dollars on it. So if you can come up with common things that teachers already do, package it, make it pretty, you can make millions of dollars and never step into a classroom. Strange, right? That's what John Samara did that. Don't tell anybody I said that. People worship him. Another 2 more points on this. 2 more points, and we're out of chapter 5. I'm going to bounce on because I want to respect y'all's time. We're at 22:26 right now. 6 ways to serve students. I talked about this. I'm going to talk about it again. Form relationships. Create a climate of respect. Trust me, they're human beings. I don't care what age they are. You must respect them in order to earn respect. Model productive habits. If you sit back behind your desk like a bum, they're going to sit behind their desk like a bum. Emphasize civics and citizenship. Were you truly teaching them to be a good citizen in society? Promote character building. That's huge. That's huge. Just to be able to understand your individual character and how you are portrayed. What is the perception of you? It will eventually be able to, through positive communication, rub off on your students. Hot point is something that I pulled out of this one. It says, identify students for whom we have lower expectations. I'm going to go soapbox real quick. Y'all ready for this? Just quick soapbox. All right. So if I walk into a classroom, I'm going to tell you what. My entire time in high school, I had every single teacher go, oh my God, you're getting Garrett Hartman. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I can't believe you're getting Garrett Hartman in your class. Okay, we do that. Teachers do that. You'd be amazed at what teachers talk about. And immediately, every classroom I walked in, the expectation of me was this instead of this. Okay, and that, I could harp on the fact that, well, that's why I didn't go straight to college and I could have, whatever. I don't care. If we have that mentality, and if we look at that student, I had a student tell me, this was about 6 years ago. It was like day 2. And I was still in the classroom before I became an instructional coach. And I said, hey man, step outside real quick. Let's have a talk. Because he wasn't doing anything. And he looked at me, long story short, he looked at me and said, I've been told I was stupid my entire life, so why do I care? And that's real, right? That's real. So if I lower the bar for him, Why don't I lower the bar for everybody? It's ridiculous, the fact that, trust me, you're going to see teachers that do it and you're going to want to do it yourself. But if you have the drive and the desire to actually be in this for a real reason and not be one of those summertime countdown teachers, I got a text today, no joke, 50 days till the semester's over. And I'm like, who the hell knows that? Who's literally looking at their calendar to figure this out? We're trying to figure out how to do hybrid learning right now, and you're worried about until we go on Christmas break? Don't be that person. That's all I can tell you on that. I could go on forever, but again, I want to respect y'all's time. Chapter 6, obviously we're playing catch up really quick. I picked out just a very few things I want to talk about in chapter 6. Because you're designing a classroom. I'm going to tell you one thing. I had a nice portfolio, a nice little binder, and I walked into my very first interview for a job at Hempstead Middle School. Luckily, the principal was my 7th grade math teacher whenever I was in Sealy, and so the interview went very well. But I sat there very nice and neat, and I had my binder, and it had a layout of the classroom in it. I had a plant in the corner on a file cabinet, and over here I had a desk, and then I had all these wonderful teacher desks lined out. Still in that binder somewhere because I never looked at it. But knowing this, I want you to understand what a classroom is, okay? And I want you to understand, in the book, it tells you that it's a home away from home. It is not a home away from home. It is not someplace that you have carryover with your home, with your family. You have to have separation from this process. The fact that it says, and you know, I may get ripped down for this, but it's not a home away from home. I don't take work home. I don't take home to work. I do share my family. I do share my successes. I do share with my students and my failures, because my students need to know that I'm not perfect. They need to know that I don't live at school. They need to know that I go shopping at HEB. And if they see me, I feel like a champion because they're like, Mr. Hartman, you remember me? No, I don't. I taught like 17,000 kids. I don't remember you. I'm kidding. Don't let me. I remember the face. What's the name? That's how you do it. Anyway, so classroom space, home away from home. Don't buy into that junk. Do not buy into that junk. Later on, you may think, no, this is really nice. This is my space. Yeah, it's your space. Under contract of law, everything in the 4 walls is yours, right? So yeah, it's yours, but it's not your home. You're there to do a job. You're there to motivate. You're there to inspire. You're there to teach those people that are going to go change the world. And that's what you really need to think about, okay? Teaching unconditionally was something else that I pulled out of this. Teaching unconditionally is huge. Every day that you walk in, if you're not smiling, you could ruin a kid's day, not based on something that you did. You could ruin a kid's day because they're looking at you for that smile. And I mentioned this before. That smile, that hi, that good morning, and you may not get anything back from them. I say good morning to kids all the time. I have hundreds of them pass me every morning. I'm like, good morning guys, good morning ladies, good morning gentlemen. And sometimes they hear me, but they don't say anything. But I can promise you, I'm not going to stop doing that, very simply because I love the process of motivating, inspiring, and driving all individuals, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of stature in life, regardless of home life, regardless of whatever. But if I don't do that, then that kid's going to walk down the hall and go, Mr. Hartman didn't say hi to me this morning. Something's wrong. And that's going to throw their day off, right? I'm there for a reason. I teach unconditionally. I am in it unconditionally. There's no give at all. And then another thing I marked was showing students that we trust and respect them. I can't tell you how important that is. I can't tell you how new age of a thought, unfortunately, that is, because in the past, society's changed, right? In the past, you respect the headmaster. You respect that teacher. All right, that's cool. I agree. Respect everybody, but it's reciprocal. I want respect as an educator in the classroom because I only have 45 minutes a day with you to really drive home the things that I want to, and then I want the same from you. But if I don't give it, you're never going to get it, and that's just a good social thing that you need to understand. Real quick, I'm running out of time. Routines in the classrooms that the chapter talked about. I'll pass on that. One thing I'm gonna leave you with uh, is intrinsic motivation. If you cannot drive yourself intrinsically, there's no way you'll ever drive a student intrinsically. It comes from the inside. What motivates you? Okay. If a student is not motivated, it comes from here. Be the external that then fires up their internal, and you will see some insane successes in the classroom. I'm not going to touch on classroom management plan very simply because we're running out of time. Your lesson plan assignment for this week, the flip grid assignment, or for last week rather, talk about a lesson plan on Flipgrid and be done. Okay, that's all I'm asking you to do. With the tech issues that we had last week on my side, talk about a lesson plan. Talk about something you've experienced. Let's just build network and build communication. And with that being said, guys, hit me up with the reflections on the lecture. I'm at 30, about to be 31 minutes. Thank you for hanging in there with me, guys. I wish we were doing this face to face. It would be phenomenal, but we're not, and I'm sorry. So get what you can. Talk to me. Give me some feedback on discussion and email, and we will keep learning through this semester together. So until next time, have a good one.